Welcome everyone to the championship matchup of the knockout. This is season 4. It is good to be bad. I am super stoked and excited for this episode just because it's been a lot of fun. This was my all villains matchup. Is true villains, gray area villains, and just all everything in between. Just a lot of fun. I cannot wait. It was actually funny enough, this episode turned out to be a Marvel versus DC championship matchup, which I had not designed, and not arguing or not complaining because it's definitely a lot of fun. So I am, rather than just talk your ears off, let's get the intro started, guys, and I'll see you guys here in a second. So let's get the intro started.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
2 will enter, 1 will win. Welcome to the fight. Welcome to the knockout.
Call me Doom.
And you are...
Poison. Poison Ivy.
It's gonna be fun. Just a little something from our defense contracts.
I am nature's arm. Her spirit. Her will. Help. I am Mother Nature.
Thank you to Poision Joe for helping me make that. Just something a little special for the championship matchup. So, as you can see, the fighters introduce themselves. But let me bring in the two guys who will be arguing for them. John's Comics with Kids for Dr. Doom, and JP for Poison Ivy. Welcome. How's it going, guys?
Hello, hello.
Doing well.
Awesome, awesome. All right.
I just was debating as you were playing that sweet intro of which of those movies was actually a worse portrayal of these two characters.
That would be
which
Poison
one
Ivy.
of those films is more awful? It's really,
I will defend that Fantastic Four movie, so I'm going to go stick with Poison Ivy and Batman.
I think the Fantastic Four movie is better than Batman and Robin, but I'm not sure the portrayal of Doom is better than the portrayal of Ivy. Those are both pretty.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a fun show. It's going to be a fun show. So, as John pointed out here, people in the chat, we're doing the championship matchup this time differently. Only the votes done in the live show, which the link is here, will count. So, spam it out there, get it out there. Hopefully, my Instagram thing will go, and the voting link will end at about 45, not 45 minutes, but about 35 minutes or 40 minutes. 15 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm horrible at math. What can I say? And so the voting link will cut off there. We will keep arguing until it ends. And then afterwards, we can see where it ends. That way, when we bring it up, it's the final vote. No changing it. It is what it is, unless we have to go to the tiebreaker poll, which I started beforehand just in case. So hopefully that's not even, so I don't have to break a tie. My wife picked number 2, so that means John and Dr. Doom will go first with the introduction. Let's get you guys on the other side since that's where you end up with. All right. Nothing else to add, so we'll bring up Dr. Doom with John's opening statement. So take it away, Doom.
This is the knockout I was hoping we would get to for the championship. I think this is a fun DC Marvel matchup of the green characters. I do think this battle favors Doom in big ways, and that's mostly because of the sheer power of his electronics. There is definitely a magical and electronic component heavily favoring Doom versus the plant army that Ivy would be utilizing here. So really what we're talking about is a machine versus nature discussion again. That has come up several times. Doom's armor, impervious to so many things like her little love potions and the like. The Doom bots, very, very useful tools in enabling him to overcome whatever she's creating. And certainly the magic and the ability to fly keep him out of the, easy grabbing, vines of Poison Ivy. I think in a big way, this whole argument favors Doom. I love Poison Ivy, big fan. That has nothing to do with this, sadly. This is going to be a Doom crushing battle.
You're still muted there.
I think you're muted, buddy.
Sorry about that. I like that introduction, so I can't wait to see where it ends in that debate. So take it away with Poison Ivy.
So, yeah, as John says, this is a little bit of man versus nature or machine versus nature again, which has been like Ivy's entire path. She hasn't gotten to manipulate men very often. It's always been machines that she's had to deal with, which does give the pure power benefit to Doom, I will admit. But Doom has 2 major weaknesses that come up over and over again, which is his arrogance, his overconfidence, and he has a little bit of a weakness for the ladies, as we've seen over the years. Different women, he's done some stupid stuff for women over the years. I do think that gives her an opportunity. I will fully admit that her path to victory is much narrower than his and requires her to manipulate and play the long game in a way that we don't see her do very often. I will fully admit that. In terms of if he makes the decision early on that this is like, I'm going to wipe this person out and I'm going to stay way away, she's going to have to find a way to draw him out from behind the Doom bots and get him to lower his guard in some way that she can take advantage of. It would not be easy, but I do think there is an opening there because he's constantly overconfident. And she just has to manipulate him into believing that she's willing to either work for him, some sort of truth to get close enough to actually, use some of her powers on him. I do think that she wanted to, like John talked about the nature stuff. Like in her full power, she could pretty much level most of Latveria. It's just a matter of how she gets him close enough to actually do something to him. And that's what he's best at, is staying away. But yeah, that's all I got.
Well, I look forward to seeing how this works out. But you definitely have a funny point, though. You seem to hit every single robot in this season.
Oh, I hit all the robots
on the way to the end. It was
like all the matchups. It was right over there wins because they're weak.
Yeah, But yeah, you used it every single robot. You just couldn't catch a chip break. All right, so you do make a good point. This all comes down to getting Doom away from his army. So, Doom, what are you going to do in this fight? How is he going to overcome Poison Ivy? Because you're fighting Mother Nature. Technically speaking, she has the world's largest army.
I mean, yeah, I do think we've discussed in the past Poison Ivy as like the highest level of her power is that sort of goddess, nature goddess Poison Ivy, right. Which only happened a few times in the comics, but when it has, she is proved incredibly formidable in her ability to manipulate the natural surroundings. And then ultimately, like you were saying, JP, hide in a way that Doom does as well, where underground, in a castle, in a cave, wherever she decides to make her home, then her minions are these natural things, much like Doom would. So I think strategically, they both would have a similar attitude towards one another as far as protecting a home and then expanding the territory against one another. The question becomes, does either one of them take the field in a battle like this? Or, what is the instigator to bring this about? Because I firmly believe Doom is somebody that would operate from a home base like Latveria and be using his Doom bots almost exclusively and controlling those choices from afar.
Right. So that's why I think that like her path is narrower, because he is less reliant on actually getting face to face. She has to at some point get to him in a way in order to even try to manipulate him in the way that she's most capable of.
Right.
Like if she's just relying on her plants coming up through the ground and tearing stuff up, and and she could do a lot of damage to Latveria and that kind of stuff, but she's got to find a way to get to him. I actually think in terms of her best strategy is to basically surrender. and what I mean by that is hey, no, like you win, I'll work for you, I'll do, we can do work together kind of thing, and actually like use his arrogance to get close to him. Now, the fact of the matter is it's still going to be finding a way once she gets there to do something he hasn't anticipated, to use some sort of plant poison or mind control effort that he hasn't already anticipated being. But that's what she's going to have to do. She's going to have to play to his arrogance in a way to basically undo him.
And I agree, Bleecker. I think his genius is going to be a challenge for her to overcome. Can she outthink Doom?
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier his susceptibility to the female form in comics, and certainly we've seen Storm and Sue Storm, the Storms, I guess.
The Storms especially, but there's other examples. But those are the two of the main ones.
The big ones, I guess. Play on this, or at least become caught in it. And in those instances, whether you retcon it as that was a Doom bot that was out of control and took Storm, whatever.
Yeah.
He was going out and capturing them, right? In those scenarios, would he be drawn to someone like Poison Ivy the same way? Certainly, I think her pheromone abilities, from what I've read about the Doom armor, and I'm obviously not an expert, it seems that the pheromone things and the plant spores that she might utilize to try to control him wouldn't necessarily have an effect unless she could outthink how his armor works and come up with a way to infiltrate it.
And that's where I think that, so she's going to have to, sort of do something to draw his attention in a way of, okay, I want that power. I want, I can use her and then basically beat him, and basically be like, okay, I'm willing to work with you and find a way to beat him to the double cross, which will not be easy because he's going to be looking for the double cross instantly, it's because that's who Doom is. He's going to be both looking for her to do it and looking for his opportunity to do it to her. And so I do think it's a weird, if it's just straight up, we're going to annihilate each other, I think he wins any sort of battle of attrition.
Yeah.
She has to find a way to basically draw him to her, to want to use her powers, to draw her in so that then she can try to find a way past the armor to get control of him.
And I don't want to downplay her intelligence because she is a doctor. She is she's a PhD.
Right.
And has
but
clearly
she's
just not a genius level
is.
Intellect that Doom is. So to Bleeker's point, I totally agree with what you're saying. I'm not particularly choosing to play the God level Doom from Jonathan Hickman's run. I don't think that's fair, just because it would basically be playing the Beyonder, and I kind of ruins it. I'm just doing classic Doom. in his suit with his robots, with his, all of his resources. Because the second you play God Doom, it's like playing nullified Venom or whatever. You've basically created a God tier character.
Yeah.
Now, God Ivy is impressive, but I don't know. I think power wise, they're still on somewhat equal playing at that point. By the way, make sure you vote. I JP and I kind of pushed a new voting system on Matt for this competition. So those of you in the chat voting tonight, your votes are going to count a little extra than the preceding polling that we've done up to now. So your votes matter a ton.
Yeah. So I got a comment here though to go for Bleeger. He did mention the whole thing God Doom, and part of me thinks that Doom would see the benefit or the advantage of having the power over nature itself, that he might want to quote unquote beyonder her and take her powers.
Take her power.
Yeah.
Interesting. So if she was at that level that she had all this amazing power, would he become jealous of it?
Oh yeah.
And want to absorb it?
Because
he's going to want to. Like, I do think the opportunity that she has here is because he's not going to go into this with the objective of destroying her. He's going to go into the objective of either stealing her ability to add to his own, or finding a way to control her,
or just eliminate her.
See, I don't think he goes to eliminate, at least initially. I think he either wants to steal the abilities or control her in a way that he can use her abilities however he sees fit.
So her power draws him out as like a level of competition that he would then want to either absorb or control.
I think that level of control, like if we're talking about Ivy at her highest level of power, that level of control over nature, he's going to see that as I can use that, as opposed to I'm going to destroy that because it will destroy me. Because it's not going to destroy him. He's doomed. he's not going to, he's not going to go there. That's not how his mind works.
Interesting.
So I do think that's her opportunity. I'm not saying it's a easy opportunity or an opportunity that's necessarily actually going to play out the way she would hope, right? Like,
okay,
because he is the king of the double cross of the planning one step ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that would be an interesting reason for them to come into confrontation. Is her rise to god level power from her nature power? Yeah. That I don't remember the exact quote, but the idea that I think they mention it in Age of Ultron that power instantly incites competition, right?
Yeah.
And I think I could see that being the impetus for a confrontation between these two.
Yeah.
Would she be ready? How early would he recognize, and then would she have fortified a position by that time? It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see him monitoring all potential allies and threats. So I think he would definitely be aware of Ivy far sooner than she would be aware of him, because he'd just be another
far sooner than she would be necessarily concerned with him.
Yeah,
right.
That too.
Or ready.
Yeah.
Definitely a thing there. So how is this fight ultimately gonna? So are we bringing technology further into it, or how's one of these he's gonna pin down?
I would imagine it would be a Doombot assault. Excuse me, on her position, with probably the goal of capturing to understand what her power is.
Yeah.
Then potentially containment or draining of her power, so that he could then have it. I would imagine magic would be utilized by him to control her, whatever kind of cage he chooses to put her in. So for studying, and so I think these things would come built with his thinking of how to control this goddess, this nature goddess.
True.
How close would he be willing to get? How much would he trust the cage that he designs? I think it would be an interesting procedure.
Well, and that's where I think her best chance is sort of to like, okay, he's come after me, and can she think quick enough to realize, her best chance is not to necessarily fight, but to go along with it so that he gives her a level of freedom potentially when he has her that she can then use to exploit to actually like get the best of it.
Sure.
Like now, the argument of whether or not she's smart enough to be able to take the steps she needs, like that's definitely a debatable question for sure.
I think
because that's not the kind of strategy she typically shows.
And I think in general, he is one of the harder people to dupe. You know, I think he's not been known.
Well, because he's
for that.
Paranoid. He constantly is like, okay, he assumes everyone to a certain degree, not that they're as smart as him, but they think like him and that they're always looking for an angle. They're always looking for a step against him. So he's always planning for that step.
For sure.
You see that a lot in the comic books. Yeah, that he's always, if you always count on people to betray you, you're just waiting for them to do it, so you're ready for it.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's what I was talking about. Like, if she gets close enough and then to double cross him, but like he's going to anticipate the double cross. And he's probably going to, if they actually work together, he's going to double cross as soon as he gets an opportunity. He's going to be ready to do it. So
double cross the triple cross.
Yeah, for sure.
Doom's angles be popping. That's funny. Is it a cute angle though, or is it an obtuse angle?
He's always obtuse. she's a cute.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's a matter of her making herself, like realistically, it's a matter of her making herself important enough and valuable enough to him that he gives her enough freedom that she can also work on a way to turn him into her control. Like, and like, I'm not pretending that's not like a long and fraught with a whole, 14 million. I looked at 14 million outcomes and one's where we went. I mean, I don't think it's one, but I think it's a lot less. There's a lot less paths for her than there are for him to victory.
Do you think in a one-on-one gladiatorial matchup, there's a clear victor? I didn't mean to play that victor.
No.
Yes, I did.
You meant that pun.
My personal sense, it depends on how this ultimately ends. I can see a way where Doom gets Poison Ivy out of there, takes her out, ends the competition, whatever. I'm struggling to see how Poison Ivy subduces or overcomes, whether it's by death or entrapment, how Poison Ivy gets Doom out of the way. That's where I'm struggling to make my.
Basically, she's going to have developed whether it be a pheromone, whether it be lambda spores, whether it be some sort of plant thing that can actually get past his protections.
Yeah,
right.
Like that she can use to then control him. I mean, that's her path to victory, and it's whether she has to come up with something he hasn't anticipated. And that's going to be hard because he is, as we talked about, but that's how she wins, is she has to get past, either that or just flat out old fashioned seduction that allows her to then get past those censors. And can she do that? And is he ever going to be trusting enough to let down his guard enough to get past that?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a straight up fight, she is in trouble in terms of.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it fits her power set, right? Yeah. Him and his armor, no Doom bots, her with whatever plants she can manipulate in the space we're battling. Seems like it's going to be harder on her, right?
Yeah.
That's not the way to victory for her. I was just double checking that you had the same thought on that.
Yeah.
True. I agree with that. I mean, for her, it's all about. This can't be about it. It can't be that we're going to kill each other. It's got to be okay. I'm taking an opportunity to find a way past whatever defenses he has when his guard is down. I've played to his arrogance. I've played to his, and I've found a way past. It's what she's going to have to do.
Now, when we argued And I subbed in for you against Skynet, right?
Yeah.
And it was a ridiculous victory that occurred. But let's just go
Yeah.
back to it for a second,
Well,
because
see, I
I do
actually
think
think
there's
that-
some of it.
There's less so because the ability to just take on the Doombots, I don't think is like out of hand. Like take on mechanical things or rip mechanical things apart and nature regrow fast enough to like that. I don't think is that far out there. What makes him so much harder than the Doombots is the magic,
Hmm.
and that that he's going to basically he's going to be anticipating in his brain itself that's going to anticipate pheromones and spores and plant life. So he's going to have filters to keep himself free of those kind of things. Like to me, that makes him a step harder than any of the other like mechanical things she's already had to deal with.
So Cliff on Comics says this is not even a fair fight. Doom would shut her down. She'd only have a chance in AI have an element of surprise scenario. I mean, you do make a solid point, but then again, how hard is Doom to surprise? You know, he's one of those people that he might be surprised. But he has such a good
from that standpoint, she would have to basically make a decision that she would have to be the one planning and be like, okay, I see Latveria as a place that I want to make my utopia, which would be kind of a dumb choice of all the places she could go to, but would go in before he was anticipating it. And like in her Queen Ivy thing, and she could actually manipulate the roots under a city. Like she could level cities, like,
right.
And, and attack him before. But again, that's her taking a level of initiative that she doesn't really ever show.
Yeah.
Well, so my question was really centered on like looking at the subordinate level. If we agree it's not a one-on-one gladiatorial thing, then clearly we have a hierarchy, right? With like generals and troops underneath. Her troops versus his troops, JP, you seem to be saying that the Doombots would struggle against.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's a fair fight then, because
it's a better fight.
Taking apart mechanical things, like she has the ability to destroy Doombots.
Okay.
Like now, and she has the ability to grow plants faster than he can build Doombots.
Yeah, fair, because he would have he would be limited by his production, right? However many he had.
Yeah, how many? He has a finite number. Whereas as long as she's not engaged, like getting directly attacked, if she has that protective layer front, she can continue to just grow nature in front of it. She does have his own X-Men right now. Yes.
Sorry, I was typing the same thing. Yeah, if anybody has read some of the endings of Immortal X-Men and kind of what's been going on in the X titles, Doom has now an entire set, a little team of X-Men all on his own, Latvian mutants.
Yeah, Poison Ivy can grow a lot faster than he can do it. I mean, there's an older movie. It's called Sky High. Where the guy's best friend has a plant superpowers, and all of a sudden, big mistake, and because he got pissed off, and then here comes these vines busting through the window, and he's wrapping the girl up, duplicating all this, going like, yeah, that's a good. So, yeah. Doom can't build that fast,
Right? If she is effectively eliminating the bots at an incredible speed, that's going to impact obviously any assault he's making, based on the concept that they've both fortified positions and then chosen to lay a siege against one another.
Yeah,
but it's still like it gets at your point of like he may have a finite level of Doombots, but it's still she has to find a way to get to him.
And he is a master strategist, so he is not just going to send them flying blankly into battle, knowing that they'll be what they cost and that he can't get them back so quickly.
Yeah. So he's going to be like his ability to get to her is a lot, even with all the plants and stuff. Find a way to get just to her is going to be. Yeah, I think it's. I'm not. Like, I'm trying to argue this from a realistic standpoint, and I understand the differences in not just their power sets, but in the scope of the way they think about things. Like she's not, and it's never been the. Well, that's not true. There's been one occasion where she tried to do the world domination thing, and it was more of a. She did find a way to like basically control the minds of everybody on the planet, like, but the strain on her was a lot, and he's gonna be like, unless he's the first one, whatever method she used, I can't remember exactly now. It's been a while since I read this story. I don't remember exactly how she did that, but like, unless he's the first one she goes after, he's gonna like. He's Batman level of I'm going to find a way around this. You know, it's like.
What are you saying that he just needs? You saying he just needs prep time?
Yeah, he just needs prep time.
Because Doom just is. But yeah, I could definitely, unless Poison Ivy is the equivalent of an eco terrorist, where she is actively I see a human, kill it, because my plan's gotta live. I don't see her making the first move. It's definitely going to be a Doom starting. Go on.
Oh, I was just reading Bleecker Street's comment, and like, there's no place on this planet without plant life, even in Antarctica or.
Oh, I would disagree. More than likely, Doom's cage, and we talked about this earlier a little bit.
Cage would be, but he's still
the concept of where he would take her, right? Yeah. It's predicated on him being able to capture her or her surrendering.
Yeah,
but. Whatever cage he builds for her would be designed around, like, the void of space, right? It would be designed around putting her in a metal cage, magically attuned in a place like a satellite in outer space.
Oh, from Latveria, go, I'm transporting her to the moon.
Right.
He doesn't have, like, that kind of capability. He has to do something to get to her. But
don't doubt Doom.
But he had a way to just like instant transmission someone to outer space. He would have done that to Reed a long time ago. Like, come on. Reed would be in the vacuum of space like that.
Right.
But
that's fair.
So but yeah, Poison. So one of the comics I read Fantastic Four off and on. The beginning of the slot run they had where Doom entrapped Galactus and Latveria was basically Doom powered kind of thing. It was plan went wrong and sideways eventually, of course, like it always does when the Fantastic Four gets involved. But it had me thinking during this whole fight here, if Doom can basically entrap Galactus to start using him, Poison Ivy really has to kick it up a notch to stand a chance, because this isn't even God Doom. This was just Doom with some technology, Batman preparation and all that, but he can still kick ass.
Well, yeah, he's made a plan to like, and that's where I go. If he sets his sights on her, like, and it's like, okay, I want that power, then it's gonna have to be she's gonna have to find a way through that via be like. I will voluntarily help you, but, and then find a way to use his arrogance then against him to get him to drop his guard long enough for her to do something, which is very unlikely. Right. So, again, it comes down to her ability to isolate him in a way or get him away from his armor for her to actually do something.
Right. Yeah. Which I cannot see that happening, but maybe that's just my arrogance.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a way she has to play on his arrogance and get there. And again, like it requires a level of strategic planning and thought that she's never really shown, because that's really not what she's about.
True. All right. We got what time is it? We got about 10 more minutes before the voting link will close on you guys. So just a little heads up.
And those of you in the chat, just so you understand, your voting counts more than usual in this competition right now. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get your friends into the stream, drop the link to your friends and your friend groups and get them over here to vote for your characters, right?
Yeah. It was a little experiment basically to see if we can drive more traffic into the channel versus more votes into the match. So we're going to see how it
Plus, it supports Matt, who does these great shows, and he's now going to be serving our country. So very appreciative of Matt. And if he gets more people in here to hit that like button or subscribe, that would be awesome.
Yeah, just Stop Doom from stepping on me, because I
He's trying it. He's trying.
I have that statue
There
packed
you
up
go.
somewhere.
Oh, you do? Okay, awesome. Oh,
Ooh.
there you go. Yeah, I've got my Doom figures here
Yeah,
ready.
I didn't grab necessarily any.
I need to get a good Ivy. I mean, I've got an Ivy drawing behind me up in the corner. Where's she at? She's
Well, that was the you unboxed your Storm decal from Lowe's today, John. This was
Yeah.
Oh
the
yeah,
Ivy.
you got that to call. So there's
Yeah.
my Poison Ivy way up on the wall there.
Welcome, Mad Spidey. Good to see you.
What's
I know you're
up,
not.
Simon?
You're in Australia. Is it 6
Yes, he
a.m.
is.
now? What time is it over there now? I know you're.
Gotta be getting near early morning, I think, his time.
Looks. I know when he watches Only Slabs and all that. It's about
Yep.
roughly what time it is on Only Slabs.
He's got sleep difficulties.
Yeah, I wish I had that a little bit. Make working a little bit easier sometimes. All right. In the early afternoon.
Yeah, it's early afternoon. That's what I was gonna say. I figured it was like midday over there right now.
Okay. Hi, Kitty.
Cool. Well,
Kitty
glad to
cat
have
trying
you.
to run
All
across
right,
the
so
computer.
we generally seem to see this as a Doom starting a fight. Poison Ivy is going to have some sort of method to do it, but is there a possibility in this where the Doom just says, you know what, let's recruit her? You know, because someone who can control Mother Nature might be more valuable as an employee than an adversary. You know,
he's definitely patient, and he's definitely someone who studies and makes calculations before rushing in. So that would, if potentially, allow her time to fortify a position. But I think at that point he would understand somehow. He would gain some understanding of what it is she can do, and then come up with a method to counteract. And that portion is the interesting portion of this. Preceding, outright aggression, you have this period in time where she has now become a goddess, and he has become aware of her, and he's gaining information and strategizing, and she is either not aware of him or aware enough that realizing that time is limited and she's got to come up with some of her own.
Yeah. So from that standpoint, there's my question to you. What is his approach? Does he he's done all variety of approaches when it comes to this kind of thing. Like when he's trying to use someone or gain their, does he come to recruit, or does he wait and come to battle? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how does he, and from your opinion, I'm just curious, where do you think, how does Doom try to, what is his initial approach here?
I think we would have to use what we see in the comics historically as our guide here. I think more than likely there's always, and maybe it's just a Marvel trope where the villain comes to talk first, right?
Yeah.
And he will probably send
comes to talk. It's a Doombot, but
it's a Doombot speaking remotely for him.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't admit it to them unless they destroyed it, right? And he would basically be feeling her out for weaknesses in this tete-a-tete, right? And coming up with an understanding of her vulnerabilities. And in that time, it would basically be him deciding, is this someone that I need to eliminate, or is this someone I incorporate?
And this is where I think, because I think that is his most likely strategy, I think that is her opportunity if she's smart enough to take it, which is to be like, oh, you're coming to recruit? I'm willing to listen. Let's I'm willing to potentially let's see where this relationship goes, and then use that opportunity. And then the question becomes, does she find an opportunity to double cross before he inevitably double crosses her, which he's going to
Come work for me. The industrial revolution never happened in my country, so the nature is thriving. Come work for me.
And she has to be aware enough of him when he extends the olive branch, even though we all know that it's poisoned. Eventually he's gonna it's an olive branch to. She has to be smart enough to realize, okay, antagonizing him here is not going to lead me where I need to go. If I want to survive this, I need to find another way, and she has to basically like be like, "Oh, I'm willing to work. Let's build a relationship here."
Right.
And play to his arrogance. So like, oh, the great Doom, and that to me, that's her. I think that's his most likely approach, and I think that's her path. Probably her only path to winning is like to use that approach back against him. To show us willing until, and then can she actually? And I think it's debatable whether or not, even if that works, if she uses that to get close to him, will she still have a method that he hasn't already prepared for in the interim?
Right.
And they interact.
And yeah, and in those moments, both of them deciding, is this something? Yeah, his power set is absolutely ridiculous. I agree. In a one-on-one, all-out fight, this is not even a debate. But we're talking about manipulation and Doom's tendency to have a conversation and then, based on that conversation, make a choice for strategy, right?
Yeah.
And I think he would be ready for all outcomes. He would definitely be prepared to capture her or just outright destroy her. Yeah. And if he's able to capture her, he would then put her in outer space somewhere where she wouldn't have any, and he could then try to take the power away from her. Yeah, he can definitely do that. His magical abilities are impressive.
With just the technology in his brain, Doom would be extremely formidable. When you give him magic, it's stupid. I mean,
when you make him the Sorcerer Supreme.
I mean, you're taking Iron Man, Doctor Doom, and Reed and making them one, or Doctor Strange and Reed and making them one character.
Exactly.
No wonder he's so likable.
So it's not like, I'm not arguing from a place of like, oh, she's gonna tell me. I think she's the better character. I think she's more interesting. I think Doom is less interesting because he has too much going for him at this stage.
He's OP.
Yeah, he's become OP. Like, if he was just relying on his brain to do all of this, I would find him much more interesting than like, oh, he has magic and he has interdimensional travel. He can literally do anything he wants. Like,
it's exactly
there's nothing there to make him. Like, to me, that ends up making him less interesting as a character than he should be.
But it's also his brain that brings him down. If it's one thing you notice in a lot of movies and comics and all that, is when the ego is that high.
Oh yeah,
they tend to overlook the simplest things. I was listening to my audiobook of Harry Potter today, and the arrogance of Voldemort leads him to be overcome with simplest things. And so Doom can have these grandish plans and be so arrogant to think that he can't be defeated by a lowly plant lady, a gardener, that she can sneak in.
I'm going to let Matt make my arguments for me. It's supposed to be non-biased, buddy. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, I do think that that again goes back to my point. It's like his weaknesses are it's his arrogance is his biggest weakness. And she has to find a way to play to his arrogance until she gets an opportunity. Like, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let everyone know voting link is going to be active for about 1 more minute, and then it'll shut down you and you can't vote. So get your votes in there, because you guys are people who are watching live will get we're testing it out, have the only say on.
Wait a second. What about that link we were sending out for the last couple months here?
The tiebreaker exists. There's a tie, but otherwise,
if there's a tie, okay.
Otherwise, we're going only off of this vote. So.
Well, then I think I've already set.
Your idea, John.
I didn't remember that was the tiebreaker. I didn't know how that was incorporated. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do have power.
That was your idea. It was the tiebreaker.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and shift things off to final arguments here, since voting link's about to close. So where did I started with you and there? So let's go with again. We'll go over here for Poison Ivy for your closing statement.
You get the first word and the last word?
Okay, never mind.
Like, he can't remember his own order. I don't know what's going on.
He paid me. That's I'm supposed to win next time in Comicgories.
Well, that is the kind of thing Doom would do. So yeah, that's the kind of thing
all right.
Doom would do.
Fine. Doom, what's your closing arguments?
I think it's pretty clear where this is at. and the chat, you've been on it. You're well aware that this is an overpowered character. Magic, armor, robotics, genius level intellect, strategic thinking. I think there's on every level an advantage for Doom. And to JP's point earlier, I think it's a very narrow concept for victory, playing on his I guess falling in love with her, and I don't foresee that happening, mostly because he likes blondes and Storm is the white witch. He doesn't like redheads. We've seen that, so I don't know that that's going to play into overcoming his thinking skills. So this is a clear victory for Doom, in my opinion. But let's see how the chat votes.
Very good, very good. Poison Ivy, your closing statement.
So, I agree that she has a narrower path. And I don't think it's necessarily about him falling in love with her, though, as much as her getting enough trust that she gets an opportunity. And then she would make him fall in love the rest of the way. But it's obviously a narrower path. But really, the point is, you should vote for Boots. That's what you should do. Because,
oh my God.
Don't you want to look at that? Don't you want to see when Matt puts out all the winning thing? You want the images of Ivy. What do you want to look at Doom for?
Nerves or curves?
Yeah.
So,
Poison Ivy wins against the mutants.
the Summers family got.
That's a great point, Cliff. Yeah, the Summers clan would have no shot, but to JP's point, probably they would have no shot against anybody.
Awesome. Well, we officially closed the voting link, so there will be no build up to it. So let's bring up the voting link here and see exactly who won the championship matchup of season 4 here. Let's see. Is that the right one? Yeah, I believe that's the right one. I'll find out when I bring it up here. Yep. There we go. All right. But yeah, definitely a lot of fun. And in a way, it was kind of funny. Poison Ivy was training to fight Doom because she beat Skynet with Terminators. She beat Brainiac.
You should say, yeah, this is true. She should be able to wipe out the robots, no problem.
She was all set to fight the Doombots. Ever impressive. All right. The voting link live. The winner of season 4 is Dr. Doom with 8 votes. Poison Ivy dragging it with 3. So
There you go.
I think it was 3.
Did it show up on your screen, JP? I don't see it on mine. I don't know.
My screen still shows him without, but I had it open just because.
Okay.
Don't know why. I see it. It's
Okay.
not why it's sure it was coming. Trust me, it's there, folks. You can.
No, I can see
I'm just glad I finally won one of these damn things.
Let's see if
how many finals have I played in and lost? I think a lot.
Yeah, you lost Phoenix, and you
Still upset about that.
I'll show you the other one. The only one you won again. The only time you won was when you did the Superman in the. There we go.
Oh yeah, but I didn't win the finale, did I? I didn't think I won the ultimate end.
No, it was a battle royale one matchup kind of a thing. So that's what
I've never won the knockout like the championship. Sharon put me to shame.
She gets more votes.
She crushes me. So
yeah,
her arena recruit for months.
Yes. Oh my God, how many votes did we have in that one, Matt?
it was like 400 over 400.
It was insane the number of people that had voted. That was Phoenix versus I don't even remember who she had.
Somebody that wouldn't have beat the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I mean, I think this was a tough argument. Doom is just Doom is gonna win this fight. That's not really. It's not really a.
Well, there was always a chance that Poison Ivy, because I frankly I didn't expect Poison Ivy to be in the end here.
Not with the matchup she got. I'll be honest.
It was
other than the fact that the matchup she got doesn't necessarily have a big fandom. Therefore, there was people that were just voting because they like Ivy.
Yeah, and the hashtag Team Boobs kept on coming up here. So it's
Team Boobs. Yeah.
But so. Well, in either case, I do want an exhibition matchup of Dr. Doom versus Darth Vader. That's what I was have my fingers crossed for that one. So, but so I'm gonna beg John to argue to bring back Doom for one more fight. Basically, I just have to see Darth Vader, and
I can't remember who was Vader. Oh, it's Comic Vet.
Chris, the comic vet. Yeah, so we can find a time that works for him. It'd probably be on a Saturday. That works best for him, but I just would love to have that particular fight. So, but yep. Since I won't be going anywhere anytime here soon. So I got my medical waiver approved of for the Army. Need to pass the age waiver because I'm right there at the verge for civilian going into officer, and then after that, I still have a couple of months ahead of me ultimately here. So I'll be here. I'll be here in 2024 longer than I thought I would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the pre-recorded videos will be sitting in ice for a little bit longer. So
There you go.
only one video will be horribly outdated by the time it actually goes. So
Put them out when you put them out. So
yeah. Well, it'll be like very Gary's or your where are they 6 months later kind of thing. It'll be a value of the comic books 1 year later.
where were they last year?
Yeah, where were they last year kind of thing. I still have time to re-record it. All right, so thank you. I got something stuck in my throat. Thank you very much, JP, for Poison Ivy. Even though I think you only argued half of your episodes, you warned.
No, I argued all but one. I argued all but one. Thank you very much.
Poison Ivy is passed around more than the veggie burgers.
No.
Oh, wow.
I only filled in one time. I did all the others. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but it's definitely a lot of fun here, and just like to have you two basically be the final matchup was basically a Comicgories style finale here.
I don't think that exists.
I dropped that live stream today, and the first comment was, "Where's Comicgories?"
Oh, I get it all the time.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you guys bring back Comicgories? I'm like,
Talk to John.
no, talk to John.
Nobody wants to ask
you don't
me.
give someone the best drugs of their life and then then cut them off. That's just not right. So come, at least I'm happy to have the best episode of my tenure on it before it's went on its hiatus. So
There you go.
at least I had that high note to live on. All right, so we're going to end the show now. Thank you guys. Congratulations again, John, for season 4 championship. Finally, you have it an official title on your own. No asterisk next to your name. You're a regular season champion now. Like my only asterisk is I'm a champion of the Comicgories Home Edition.
You dominate.
You do well in the home edition. For sure.
I do well in the home edition where I don't get to talk or just get to show the book. I think it's me talking that ruins it.
That's where Lady Fantastic shines.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just makes her tough.
But I'll definitely have to, because you definitely have to have the champion back in the next season. That's always thing. But I'll have to see if I can fit Poison Ivy in somewhere because I'm just very interested in seeing it. I was even thinking about running like a poll of having 23 who didn't win and say who should be brought back for the next season. Depending
on what you're doing for your theme the next time. So
I don't know because I'm shifting between DC versus Marvel, where I basically bring in a co-host where someone argues for the red side here, someone argues for the blue side here. Basically, they basically handpick characters that the guests can select from, and so and then it whittles its way down to the strongest, and then we face off against with our last man standing each. And then I had a fun idea. Basically, I called Sidekicks Revenge, where it was like only sidekicks, in a first season, but I wasn't sure how popular that I could make that show or if there was enough sidekicks out there to do it. So
I think you should consider having once you've selected the 16 or 24 whatever players, having people vote on who they think will win and using the voting from that to create seeding in the brackets. You know what I mean? So maybe the people who get the highest votes, those 4 people get placed in the number 1s in your east, west, south, north, right? And then your number 2s would be the next 4 on and on down, so that you don't have any of the matchups early on that are oh, that's too bad. The best 2 people matched up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We could at least seed them according to expectation of victory. Now it's on the person who presents to I'm a 16th seed facing a number 1. I'm gonna have to really argue my pants off to beat the number one seed. You know?
Face them off for votes for the people or the characters, just so I clarify.
For the characters.
Characters,
So like,
and then the people have to like
you do a show. Yeah, you do a show where you're basically presenting like, do the live stream where you're presenting the 16. Let's say you just start with a 16 seed bracket, right? You're presenting those 16 players and letting the people in the chat rank them 1 to 16. And using it's all compiled. The people with the most number ones, right, would score high and get placed in the number one seeds in each corner. Yeah. And then all the way down to the people that maybe get no votes or get the lowest ranked votes, dropping into the 16 seeds. Then at least the seeding is a little more concise, I guess.
Yeah, then I guess you'd have
instead of completely random.
Yeah, it's definitely a way to do it, and that way it's also. I mean, it's a way to make it. Well, it's a way that I'm hands off, and it's on you. It's on the chat who are the supporters for it, in that regard too. So that would be a way that it's more fair. It's like, well, you want a better ranking, you get support out there and vote on that.
I don't know if that technology exists. It probably does, where you could drop a link and people can take the 16 and put them in where they think they should go, give them a number or something, and then you can then get that information, compile it. It might auto compile it or something. I don't know.
Probably be the same thing I had for the battle royale kind of thing, or the pricing or whatever. It's just a straw poll here, because they would tell me how many votes each of you gets and list them accordingly, I think, or I'll be able to tell. So it'd be a way to do it. So I'm not, because the only problem then it gets is if you have a couple where it's like 6 of them have the same number, where do they fall in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, it'll depend on the statistics, right, from the rankings that people give them. But I think it's the same as like the March Madness or whatever, where they're, you have these newspaper, or journalists who are ranking them, and then that's compiled into a system to accurately seed the teams.
Yeah. So for anyone still watching, give me some ideas, because like I said, I had DC versus Marvel as an idea, where I brought in a co-host. I had Sidekicks Revenge. I'm not sure if I had a all-female. I had an idea for an all-female, but I just been. It's hard to come up with different themes. Now I started doing themes, and I'm going like, ooh, how do I make it different? That regard. So that's when I had the idea for like Marvel versus DC or Versus and all that, where I brought a co-host, where we basically, it's like The Voice, where they created their own teams and they were kind of competing against each other in that regard for the last person standing. And so that way I had, I bring in, John doesn't want to argue. He wants to be a co-host, because I can, John and I run off each other really well, how we can banter and all that. And so we create our teams that way. And then he recruits 12 people.
Arguer. Yeah.
Wait a second. Now you're making me have to do all your work. What's going on here?
It sounds like that's what he's trying to do.
Like I said,
He's trying to like pass the work off to his co-host.
Yeah. I don't know that I want this job.
No, anything like that probably might not happen much anyway.
John's co-hosting a show. He's going to co-host Comicgories.
Yeah. Well, bring back Comicgories, or I'm going to steal your co-host.
Oh, there you go.
All right. So too bad some football. You can't do some sort of football draft. There's no way to live track stats, so you can't go wrong. Yeah.
Oh, Perry.
Yeah. What I do for the background picture? What I do with the background picture? A mud pit. So, I got both of them. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm gonna get out of here so I can hang with my wife some and all that, because I gotta work tomorrow, and so it's week's almost over. What can I say? So thank you guys for joining the knockout. I don't know how soon I'll have the knockout back, because like I said, I'm trying to join the army, and then afterwards, so the knockout might take a very long hiatus as I figure out exactly how I can have it running with my life as it is, or what it will become. So the knockout may become the latest Comicgories victim. So, so who knows? But I definitely
someday. So
yeah, I definitely plan on having the knockout at least in exhibition form, where it's one hit, one shots, But until then, it'll just be that. So all right. So take care, everyone. I'll see you guys next time for the next knockout, whenever that is. Thank you, everyone. Happy collecting.